In 2018, the writers of This Is Us threw some serious shade to the Crock-Pot brand when they used a faulty slow cooker as a crucial plot point in the hit series' most revelatory and tragic episode.
It was TV's most harrowing kitchen appliance-based character death since Frasier swallowed that can opener.
In the episode, it was a faulty crock-pot that would cause the fire to kill the Jack Pearson, one of the most beloved father figures in modern television. While this was such a pile of crock, This Is Us fans were devastated. So devastated that they took to the internet streets. All it took was one critical scene in one beloved TV series. This fictional fire not only launched a full-on PR crisis for the brand, but it actually plummeted Crock-Pot's stock. This Is Us? How about This Is Nuts? But in a way that only a true icon can, the Crock-Pot brand was able to take that less than desirable plot line and whip up some very enticing stew with it by empathizing with fans and ensuring safety standards, which, as it turns out, Crock-Pots are very safe, and working with the show writers to launch a #CrockPotIsInnocent campaign, even resurrecting Jack Pearson himself for this hilarious and thoughtful Super Bowl ad.
There is no difference so great that we can't overcome it.
So we'll let you simmer with that one for a while, but first, this Crock-Pot controversy really got me thinking. How much do you actually know about your Crock-Pot's history? Despite all of those beautiful moments you've probably shared together, have you ever really stopped to think, where are you from? Are you close with your parents? Where'd you go to school? What's your favorite thing to cook? You know, they say that you should talk to your plants, but we should get to know our appliances. Welcome back to Iconic Objects, the show where we slow cook on ideas about some of the most iconic objects in home history. But first, can we all just appreciate how iconic this advertising is? Freedom is a home-cooked meal without staying home. You got that one right, pal. So in 2018, a pop culture controversy put this humble kitchen appliance on my radar more than ever before.
CrockPot Controversy.
My mom just threw our crock-pot out, goes one tweet. Me running to my kitchen to unplug my crock-pot.
It all appears, though, it started with a slow cooker.
The crock-pot has become such a natural part of our culinary landscape that we oftentimes don't even stop to think about when or how it was invented. Which is wild, because if you take a second to really think about it, this kitchen icon has been a quintessential part of our home traditions for a long time now, if not even just to help us with basic domestic functioning. Those of you who know really know. The Crock-Pot as we know it became a household name in 1971, but as it turns out, it actually has a history that begins well before that. So, let's get cooking. So our story begins with a man named Irvin Naxon, formerly Irvin Nachemson. He was an electrical engineer and a prolific inventor who'd been the brains behind some items like the electric frying pan and the hula lamp, which apparently inspired the modern-day lava lamp. And Irving had a grandmother. Let's call her Nona Naxon. It was Nona Naxon's stories of her childhood as a Jewish immigrant in Lithuania that would go on to inspire Irving to invent the modern-day slow cooker, which, by the way, its original name might take you by surprise, but that's for later. Back to Nona. As a child in the small, predominantly Jewish village of Vilnius, Lithuania, Nona Naxon had fond memories of making a dish called cholent with her mother. Cholent, for those of you who don't know, is a quintessentially Jewish stew made of meat, beans, and vegetables, and it's traditionally eaten on the Sabbath. It's a dish that's followed Jewish families all over the world and has been interpreted in various different ways depending on the different countries or cultures it's traveled to. On Friday nights, just before sundown, Nona Naxon would venture to her local bakery. It was after hours for the bakery, but the oven was still warm. There she would leave a prepared pot of cholent ingredients to slow cook overnight in the remaining heat. Brilliant. The next day, that simmering stew could feed the whole family. The history of cholent dates way back to the 12th century. The word itself comes from the French chaud lent, which means warm slowly. And Nona Naxon isn't by any means the only proprietor of this slow cooking heritage, but it is her stories that helped her clever grandson come up with a novel hack. A solution for slow cooking, a way for us to savor the flavor of our traditions, but without all the work. No after-hours trips to the bakery, no need for the oven to be left on all night long, just beans. Lots of beans. And so he created the Beanery, a low-heating, self-contained electric countertop device that could heat up an old family recipe any night of the week. It was the precursor to the Crock-Pot. It was the grandmother of appliances, inspired by a grandmother. It was the Naxon Beanery. And that logo alone, honestly iconic. Irving Naxon applied for his patent in 1936, so it took a whole 4 years for it to be granted in 1940. But then, for reasons we're still not quite sure, it took a whole decade for the bean cooker to make it to market. My greatest guess? It probably had something to do with World War II. And so Naxon ran his business selling the beanery for a whole 20 years until he decided to retire. And now this is where things really start simmering. Naxon sold his business to Kansas City's Rival Manufacturing, and they saw the beanery and said, hey, good stuff there, but maybe it's time for a rebrand. And so they did. In 1971, at the National Housewares Show in Chicago, Rival released their newest product, the Crock-Pot. It was basically just the Naxon beanery, except it came in fun new colors like flame or the notorious 70s avocado green, and it came with a cookbook. And it was an immediate hit. Plus, Rival was able to dig into the cultural zeitgeist in the most exquisite way by orienting all their marketing around the working woman. I have to say there's something a little bit ironic about a slow cooker being the solution to a busy woman's working lifestyle, especially in a time that did have microwaves. But the Crock-Pot was able to offer something profound that microwaves seem to always have a hard time selling. The microwave may have been convenient, and I'll say it, a little bit brilliant, but a box of electromagnetic waves cooking your food will never not be slightly weird. You could say the Crock-Pot felt a little more organic. It was the kitchen product that fit perfectly into the modern woman's lifestyle. She could work full-time while also keeping a healthy home loaded with the care of slow cooking. Now, not much has changed when it comes to modern crockpots. Sure, they come in a lot of different sizes, designs, and colors these days. And yeah, they've got a few extra built-in functions, and they have slightly tweaked the design for even more heating approaches. But when it comes down to it, the primary product is still exactly the same, an energy-efficient slow cooker. So why does it seem like there was a revitalization of this brand in just the last few years? Well, for one thing, the Crock-Pot has gotten really good at diversifying their audience. Whereas the marketing from the 70s focused so intently on the modern woman, the marketing in the 2000s and onward actually expanded to featuring the modern man. And on a DIY note, I've actually seen people use a crock-pot for more things than just food. It's a pretty neat tool for some home crafting. I've seen people make their own soap with it, or their own beeswax food wraps, which is very environmentally friendly. Or to dye their own clothes, like the Green Lady of Brooklyn does. Though I don't quite think that most experts would say the upswing in home DIY projects is really what's pushing crock-pot sales these days. However, I am sure that most of us have seen Nara Smith's videos and are probably considering how we can make literally anything from scratch these days. No, the Crock-Pot has risen again because of one primary spark, a fictional fire that spawned a massive controversy. Crock-Pot's real-time response to this controversy was so effective. They won multiple advertising awards, garnered a ton of positive press, and even made it to the Cannes Lions Festival. All of this combined resulted in a boost of sales for Crock-Pot and a massive wave of love for a brand that's been slow cooking consumer affection for decades. In the case of the Crock-Pot, good things really do take time, and an extraordinary PR team. So now that the fire has settled, we're back to a slow, easy simmer. I'm personally committing to a Crock-Pot regimen that will leave my kitchen smelling incredible 24/7. If anyone has any recipes or recommendations, I would love to hear them in the comments. And if you're ready to get crockin', Wayfair has got you covered. I look forward to seeing what iconic inventions you've got in store with your Crock-Pot. Until next time, bye!